He's the Hall of Fame head coach, former Syracuse head coach. I didn't think I would stay in the job long enough to say that you were the former Syracuse head coach, but I somehow outlasted you, Jim. Jim Boeheim joining us on the program. How's retirement treating you, Jim?
Like a 200-pound weight off my shoulders. When you do something for 47 years, you just think it's normal how you feel. But when you do retire, I'm in Detroit now watching Buddy last night play for the Pistons. They actually got a win and he played. But I'd have been sitting in New York City watching a high school game and running to different gyms. So I don't think I realized how nice this is to be able to come see your son. And I've been here for 4 days. I think that's the longest time I've ever spent away from basketball in 47 years. So, I can't tell you how happy I am. And the fact that you've outlasted me is really a testament to mediocrity prevailing. Come on.
I appreciate that. I outlasted you, Coach K, Jay Wright, Roy Williams. I'm going to take them all down. Take them all down, Jim.
I remember sitting in the room with the Big East with John Thompson, Lou Carnesecca, Rick Pitino, Gary Williams, Jim Calhoun, and thinking, this isn't an easy room right here. And somehow I outlasted all of them.
Your career can't end in Greensboro, North Carolina. It should have.
I think
no, it should have ended at Madison Square Garden.
Well, things change. I think that's the big thing in sports. Things change over the years, and you have to adjust to it. It's a whole new world now with the NIL, with the immediate transfer portal. They're good things, and I think for the players, they'll end up being good. But it's a tremendous adjustment, and I think all colleges are trying to work their way through it. Some of it is troubling, as I've famously said in the last few months, but I don't think there's a solution for it. And I just think that, coaches, schools are going to have to deal with it as we move forward. The NIL in itself was a great idea, but once you get the boosters involved and money involved, it's going to go its own way.
All right, let's put this to bed. When did you decide to retire?
I thought about it halfway through the year a little bit because I was having trouble motivating myself to get places, like practice, which is important. But the 4-game losing streak, we had a pretty good year up until then. We were 16-10, young team, but I didn't coach well. We didn't play well. We got beat 4 games by 20 points each game. It just didn't feel good. Didn't feel like I was doing what I needed to do. We had a communications problem because I had a year we had to work out our contract and the chancellor was out of town. So things came up early. Bad scene, bad announcement. But we corrected everything in Syracuse with our press conference. I'll be at the university doing stuff, not a lot of stuff, it's a great party. I came to Syracuse 61 years ago, and I never left. It's never happened before. I never had to leave. I was a player, assistant coach, grad assistant coach, head coach. It's been a great time. I just feel so fortunate to have been able to do what I've done at one place for so long.
But why was it awkward there with that loss?
We hadn't worked some things out that had to be worked out. It was simple. It wasn't difficult. It took 30 minutes to work it out. And it's unfortunate that we didn't get it worked out ahead of time, but that's a minor thing. At the end of the day, everybody's happy. Adrian Autry is going to do a great job. Played for me, smart player, hard worker, really good coach. He's got great people with him.
But it didn't feel like you wanted. It didn't feel like you wanted to retire.
No, I trust me.
Okay.
I was 100% ready. It looked that way, and I get that, but I was 100% ready. If I wasn't, I'd tell you. You know that. I would tell you. I 100% ready. It just wasn't. We just didn't, and it wasn't just the university's fault. It was really both both parties, and it's all worked out. We're all happy. We've got a great coach. I wanted to coach this year. We had six young players, five freshmen, transfer, sophomore, another sophomore, and I thought we got through the year okay, not great, but okay. And I think we're in a pretty good position because we have every guy could come back. Of course, in college basketball, that's not something that usually happens.
Yeah.
Today's world, but I think most of them will come back, and I think we'll have a good team next year, and that's really all I'm concerned about.
He's Jim Boeheim, the Hall of Famer, now former coach at Syracuse. What's the closest you came to taking another job?
I talked to Ohio State in my living room in '86 or '87, and we were 5 minutes in the conversation. I knew I was just not going to Ohio State, and actually recommended Gary Williams for the job, and they went. They were smart. They went out and got him. Great coach, but that was it. It's the only interview I ever had. I came to Syracuse in '62, and I never have wanted to leave, and I'm not leaving now. I live in Syracuse. It's my favorite city to live in the world if I had a choice, as I've said many times. And it's just a great place to be.
You look at the future of let's look at the future of March Madness. I have a source who just sent me a lot of details about what could happen with March Madness. And do you have the haves and the have-nots? I know they love the Cinderella story. But I wonder if these, everybody in the SEC and the ACC and the Big Ten's going like, why are we entertaining this? Why don't we have our own model? And
Right.
and I think that's where the sport is going to be headed here.
I think even if they go there with the Power Fives breaking away, I think the basketball tournament should always include everybody. And I think it will. I think if you expand it a little bit, which you could do very easily without hurting the tournament, you have play-in games right now. Just go to 3 more sites and add a few more teams. But at the end of the day, I think the tournament, you like those teams. They're not going anywhere in most cases, but it's still fun. And there will be upsets. There will be upsets this year. Basketball is much, much more equal now, and it's much harder to really determine who should, who shouldn't be in. But for the most part, they get the right teams in. I think the problem with the net is it's not accurate. It really shows what you did in November and December, and if your league doesn't do well, then you can't recover.
Yeah.
For example, right now, Duke's playing the best of anybody in the country. They're a what, 4 seed?
I think 5.
5. That's based on they didn't have their starting point guard. They didn't have one of their best freshmen early in the year. They lost some games. Well, that is okay for getting in the tournament. But once you get teams in the tournament, the committee should be looking and saying, well, which teams really are the best teams now?
Yeah.
Duke's the best. At the worst, they're in the top 8 to 10 teams at the worst. Whereas there's some other teams that played really well early, lose 6 or 7 games at the end of the year, their seeding is too high, but they're basing on the whole year. It's all right to base entry into the tournament on the whole year, but when you get to seeding, you got to go with who's really good right now. This is the team that's really good. And the same happens in leagues. Last year we won 14 games in our league, and we got 5 teams in it. We got 5 teams in again this year, and that's 1/3 of our league. Some leagues are getting 60 or 70% of the teams in their league, and they're not doing that well in the tournament. There's a league that hasn't won a game in years getting a bunch of teams in the tournament. I think there has to be some value put on you get in the tournament based on winning your league, basically.
Yeah.
But if your league doesn't do well in the tournament, year after year after year after year, then there needs to be some kind of thought put into that. But that's just an observation from somebody that's been around too long, probably.
Can you fill out a bracket now? Do you want to be?
Oh yeah, I do.
Do you want to fill? Do you want to be in our bracket challenge, our celebrity bracket challenge?
Sure.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right, Fritzy, you'll reach out to Coach. And do I have to call you Coach, or are you former coach now? Like, are you just Jim?
I think former coach doesn't sound good. I think it's just coach.
Is
Jim.
that your wife laughing in the background? Thank you.
Well, she set
Thank
up
you,
the
Julie.
thing, or we wouldn't be talking if she.
She did the Zoom. She figured.
I did.
Hi.
Now it's time I'm going to retire soon.
She says she's retiring, but we're not, because our foundation is going forward, and we're going to keep helping kids and stuff like that.
I feel bad for your wife.
Oh no,
God.
Thank you, Dan.
She's the unluckiest person.
Oh, you're going home, and she's got to be like, oh my God, go get a hobby.
No. She's already said, you've got an office. You're going to get up. You're going to the office. Do not come home until like 5 o'clock. Don't come home for lunch.
Yeah.
No, don't do any of that. It's all set. And I'm it's okay. It's okay. She puts up with me. I'll do whatever she says, just like all of us.
Yeah.
We don't admit to.
Well, congrats and good luck.
Hey, to do something you love for 47 years is, there's nothing better than that. And getting to know the people I've gotten to know, people, obviously you and a whole lot of other people. I still remember a couple of those Final Fours. We hung out together with Kevin. Pretty fun.
We hung out with Kevin Costner in San Antonio. And you got all these coaches and you got Costner there. Costner throws that great party. And all he wants to do is talk to you guys about basketball.
Yeah, I mean, he's an unbelievable guy. He loved basketball, and it was so much fun doing that. And it's great to watch him in Yellowstone, which is my favorite show on television, and what he's done there with that show. And, it's fun to see that. See, old guys can still keep going. Like you've got years left, Dan.
Yeah.
In fact, if your ratings go down, I'll join you once a week next year. We'll pump them up a little bit.
Oh, wow. Okay. Now we're talking. Now
I'm going to say something crazy.
Now I'm going to retire. Well, you will say something crazy, that's for sure. Yeah, you're guaranteed to do that.
Guaranteed, and I try not to. My wife says, "Don't say that."
By the way, we've I think perfected our impersonation of you. Yeah. All right.
This one,
Paulie asked me a question.
Coach, what do you think of your defense in the game against Georgetown?
No, that's not good enough. And by the way, we're not playing all zone defense next year at Syracuse. I'm making that prediction right now.
Wow. Syracuse comes out of the Stone Age. No more matchup zone. Wow. That's great. Have a great time there in Detroit. Thank you, Coach. Great to talk to you again.
Thanks, Dan.
That's Jim Boeheim. Just call him Jim. Yes, Tom.
Yeah, Julie cracking up in the back.
I know. Because his wife knows that's him. That's his impersonation. And it's Mrs. Boeheim to you, Todd.
That's correct.
Okay.
Mrs. Boeheim.
Julie. Yeah, Julie.